Eli Sanders sprinted down the polished corridors of the Zephyr Starline, his shoes squeaking against the ultra-smooth floor. The fluorescent lights above hummed softly, reflecting off the chrome walls and the endless rows of sleek offices. He clutched a small datapad in one hand and fumbled with the keys to the CEO's hovercar in the other. "Eli," came the booming voice from his earpiece, crisp and cold. "One more slip-up, and you're fired, boy." Eli swallowed hard and muttered under his breath, "But I was parking your car." It was his first week as an intern at the largest corporation in the Alpha Centauri sector, and already he was skating on the thinnest layer of patience the CEO had ever shown. And it was all because of the hovercar. Not just any hovercar, it was the CEO's personal vehicle, custom-built with human and alien technology fused together. It could drive itself through asteroid belts, hover over molten planets, and even fold into a compact cube for storage. Parking it, however, was another matter entirely. Eli glanced at the bay where the car needed to go. The docking station floated above the edge of the starline, its opening no wider than the car itself. Behind it, the planet Valeria spun slowly below, oceans glinting like liquid sapphire. Dock it wrong, and not only would the car be destroyed, but the station could suffer damage too. And the CEO, well, he would fire Eli faster than a photon cannon blast. He took a deep breath and activated the car's interface. The hovercar hummed softly, its surface shimmering as if alive. "Good morning, Eli," the car said in a calm, neutral tone. "Shall we proceed to docking sequence?" "Yes. Please," Eli replied, trying to keep his hands steady. He was sweating, though he didn't know if it was the pressure or the station's slightly higher gravity. As he guided the car toward the docking bay, he noticed something strange. The hovercar's sensors flickered, and a series of red warning lights blinked across the dashboard. He frowned. The car shouldn't be malfunctioning. It had been serviced just 2 days ago. "System anomaly detected," the car said. "Manual override recommended." End quote. Eli's stomach sank. Manual override meant he had to control the car completely himself. The problem? He had never done this before with a craft like this. And failing meant instant termination. He glanced at the observation deck, where a group of alien delegates were watching the docking procedure. They were here for the quarterly council meeting. Humans were new members, and the CEO wanted to impress them. The last thing Eli wanted was for them to see a human intern fumble. "Okay, Eli," he whispered to himself, gripping the controls. "You can do this. Just don't crash." He steered the car slowly, inching it toward the bay. The space around the docking port was narrow, only a few meters of clearance on each side. Sensors beeped nervously. He adjusted the hover height, keeping the car perfectly level. So far, so good. Then, out of nowhere, the car jerked to the side. "What?" Eli shouted, yanking the controls. The car swerved dangerously close to the edge of the station. Below, he could see the planet's surface spinning far beneath them. One wrong move, and the car and he would plunge into the atmosphere. "Warning," the car's voice said. "External interference detected." Eli's eyes widened. "What do you mean? Interference?" Before the car could answer, a spark of blue energy flashed along the rear thrusters. The car spun slightly, knocking against the docking station. Eli cursed, sweating through his uniform. Then he noticed tiny shadows moving near the docking bay. Small, nimble drones zipped along the walls, their metallic bodies glinting. They weren't supposed to be there. Someone or something was tampering with the CEO's hovercar. "Okay," Eli muttered. "Time to think fast." He remembered the training videos he had watched. Calm, precise movements. Don't panic. And most importantly, use your environment. He studied the drones, noting their patterns. They seemed more curious than aggressive. Perhaps he could communicate with them. "Hey," he whispered, waving his hand. "I don't want to fight you. Just leave the car alone." One drone paused, its sensors glowing softly. It tilted its head as if assessing him. Eli smiled slightly. "Good. Now, Help me move the car into the bay. It worked. Slowly, carefully, the drones started nudging the car, using their tiny magnetic arms to stabilize it. Eli guided them, directing the car with his hands while the drones corrected its balance. The process was tense, every second stretching into eternity. Finally, the hover car hovered perfectly in front of the docking bay. Eli exhaled and gently lowered it. The docking clamps closed with a satisfying click, securing the car in place. He leaned back, exhausted but triumphant. "Made it," he muttered. Over the comms, the CEO's voice rang out, sharp as a laser blade. "What took so long?" Eli hesitated, then said honestly, "There were a few complications, but the car is secure." A pause. Then, almost imperceptibly, the CEO's tone softened. "You didn't crash it. That's acceptable." Eli blinked, hardly believing it. "Thank you, sir." He sank into a nearby chair, trying to catch his breath. Around him, the aliens watching from the observation deck were whispering among themselves. He caught snippets of conversation. Words like resourceful and human ingenuity floated to his ears. Eli smiled, realizing that, somehow, even a stressful mistake could become an opportunity to impress. Then, the car's AI spoke again. "Eli, you have demonstrated problem-solving under high-stress conditions. You exceeded expected performance metrics." Eli laughed, a little shaky. "Thanks. I think." He looked at the drones one last time. They had returned to their stations, buzzing quietly, their work complete. Somehow, these small creatures had helped him accomplish what he couldn't have done alone, and somehow, that was very human, finding solutions where others only saw problems. Just as he was starting to relax, his datapad buzzed. A new message from the CEO. "Report to my office immediately," Eli groaned. "Here we go again," he muttered, rising from the chair. As he walked down the corridor, he couldn't help but feel a strange mix of fear and excitement. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown threats and strange beings. But for the first time, he felt like humanity belonged here, not because they were the strongest, but because they could adapt, think, and most importantly, keep going when everything seemed impossible. And that, Eli realized, was the beginning of something much bigger than just parking a car. Eli Sanders' feet barely touched the polished floor as he hurried down the corridors toward the CEO's office. His heart still pounded from the docking bay incident. Just minutes ago, he had narrowly saved the CEO's hovercar from what looked like sabotage. And now, he had to explain himself. When he arrived, the CEO, a tall figure in a sleek silver suit named Magnus Drakey, was already standing beside a massive window, looking out at the spinning planets below. His arms were crossed, and his expression was unreadable. "Eli," Magnus began, voice calm but sharp, "do you have any idea how dangerous that was?" "Yes, sir," Eli replied quickly. "I didn't crash it. The car is secure." Magnus raised an eyebrow. "Do you always get lucky, or is this skill?" Eli hesitated. "I think it was luck, sir." Magnus let out a soft chuckle, but his eyes narrowed. "I'm not asking about luck. I'm asking about how something like that happened in the first place. Why did the car act erratically?" Eli swallowed hard. "Sir, I think someone interfered with the car. Maybe sabotage." Magnus's expression hardened. "Sabotage?" "Yes, sir. I saw small drones near the docking bay. They weren't part of station operations. I think they were trying to disrupt the car." Magnus studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Very well. You're going to help me figure this out. I need to know who is behind this, and why. Consider this a test, Eli. Your human instincts might be useful here." Eli felt a rush of fear and excitement. A test? This was beyond any intern task he had imagined. Somehow, his simple mistake with parking had turned into a mission to uncover sabotage. Magnus handed him a data tablet. This contains surveillance footage from the docking bay, the ship's logs, and recent communications. Go through it and report anything unusual. You have 2 hours. 2 hours. Eli felt his chest tighten. He had never been trusted with anything like this before, but something inside him clicked. Humans were known for creativity under pressure. Maybe, just maybe, he could solve this. He settled into a workstation and opened the footage. At first, everything seemed normal. Ships docked, drones moved along maintenance corridors, and the station hummed with life. Then, just a few minutes before he had arrived, a small shadow appeared near the hovercar. A tiny, almost invisible drone zipped along the wall, scanning the car. Another joined it, and then a faint pulse of energy shot out from their bodies. Eli's eyes widened. They were definitely trying to interfere, he muttered. He rewound the footage, zooming in. The drones weren't ordinary maintenance units, they had alien designs. With delicate claws and glowing sensor eyes, they moved like insects, quick and precise. He noted the time and energy pulses, then checked the station logs. Nothing unusual was recorded there. The system had no record of these drones at all. They were invisible to normal scans. Someone had brought them onto the station secretly. Eli's mind raced. Who could have done this? A rival company? A foreign alien delegation? Or someone inside the corporation? The tablet buzzed. A message popped up from Magnus. Progress? Eli typed quickly, explaining what he had discovered. Almost immediately, another message arrived. Interesting. Keep digging. I want names. He spent the next hour analyzing every security camera on the station, tracing movements of the small drones. He noticed a pattern: they always came from a specific maintenance tunnel leading to the outer hull. That tunnel was usually restricted. Whoever controlled it had clearance. Or at least knew how to bypass security. Then, something clicked. A maintenance log showed a technician assigned to that tunnel who had mysterious leave, recorded during the same time frame. Eli cross-referenced with the personnel database. The technician's name was Raxon Vool, a junior engineer who had recently joined from an outer colony. His clearance seemed normal, but the logs were suspicious. Eli leaned back, rubbing his eyes. Got you, he whispered. He reported his findings to Magnus, who immediately scheduled a meeting with security and intelligence officers. They agreed Raxon was a prime suspect. But before anyone could act, Eli realized the bigger problem. The drones weren't just tools. They were smart, highly intelligent. They could adapt. They could escape. Magnus noticed Eli's concern. Do you think they're dangerous? He asked. Yes, sir, Eli replied. If someone wanted to use them, they could cause serious damage. The hovercar incident might have been a warning or a test. Magnus nodded grimly. Then we need to secure the station and capture them. You're going to help lead the operation. Eli's heart raced. Lead an operation? He had barely survived parking a car. But Magnus's eyes held a quiet trust, one that Eli had never experienced before. Somehow, the CEO believed in him. The operation began immediately. Eli, security officers, and engineers moved to the outer maintenance tunnel. Drones zipped around, scanning for movement. Eli directed the team, recalling the patterns he had seen in the footage. Using mirrors and sensors, they traced the drones' paths without alerting them. It wasn't easy. The drones were fast, clever, and unpredictable. They darted through tiny gaps, hid behind cables, and even tried to short-circuit some sensors. Eli stayed calm, guiding the team like a conductor leading an orchestra. Finally, they cornered the drones in a maintenance bay near the station's hull. Eli held his breath. One wrong move, and the drones could escape, or worse, cause damage. He reached out slowly, using a magnetic net designed for delicate objects. The drones hissed softly, sensors glowing bright. Eli whispered, "It's okay. We're not here to hurt you." Somehow, it worked. The drones paused, almost as if they understood. With careful movements, Eli and the team captured them without harm. Magnus appeared just then, observing silently. He looked at Eli, expression unreadable. "Well?" he asked. They're secure, Eli said, and unharmed. Magnus nodded once. Good work. Very human of you. Eli couldn't help but smile. Thank you, sir. But who sent them? Magnus's eyes darkened. That, Eli, is the next mystery. Whoever did this knows about our operations, our tech, and possibly the aliens. This was not random. Someone wants to test us, or humiliate us, and they chose you as the first line of defense. Eli swallowed. Me? You, Magnus confirmed. You kept calm, adapted, and succeeded where many would have failed. That's why I trust you with the next step. Eli felt a mix of pride and nervousness. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. Other species saw them as impulsive, reckless, or weak, but moments like this, when a human mind stayed calm and solved problems others could not prove otherwise. The aliens observing the station were still present, curious about the commotion. They had seen humans act unpredictably before, but this was different. Eli's actions demonstrated intuition, quick thinking, and adaptability, all qualities humans excelled at. Magnus clapped him on the shoulder. Rest for now. But remember, Eli, this is only the beginning. The galaxy is full of surprises, and not all of them friendly. Your performance today has put you on the radar for good and bad. Eli nodded, feeling both excitement and fear. He had never imagined his first week as an intern would include sabotage, intelligent alien drones, and leading an operation, but somehow, he had survived. And more than that, he had thrived. As he walked back to his quarters, Eli realized something important. Humans were not just passengers in this vast galaxy. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and survivors. Even an intern, even someone just parking a car, could make a difference. He paused for a moment, looking out at the planets spinning below the station. The stars seemed brighter than ever, full of possibility and danger. And Eli knew he was ready, at least, as ready as any human could be to face whatever came next. For the first time, he felt that being human in a galaxy of powerful aliens wasn't a disadvantage. It was a strength. Eli Sanders woke to the faint hum of the Zephyr Starline's engines. The events of the past day replayed in his mind: the docking bay incident, the rogue drones, the tense moments with the CEO. Every sound, every shadow, every flashing light now seemed like it might hide another challenge. His datapad buzzed. A message from Magnus Drake. Report to the command center. Urgent briefing. Eli took a deep breath, grabbed his tablet, and hurried through the corridors. The station was quieter than usual. Most staff had left for routine tasks, and the aliens visiting the station were now gathered in meeting rooms, curious but cautious. The sense of tension in the air was almost palpable. He arrived at the command center. Magnus was already there, standing in front of a massive holographic display showing the star systems around Zephyr. The blue and gold light from the holograms danced across the walls, giving the room a strange glow. Several officers and engineers were present, including the head of security, Lieutenant Kale, a tall alien with reflective eyes that seemed to see through lies. Eli, Magnus said, without looking back, you have done well so far. But this goes beyond sabotage. We may be facing a threat older than any empire in this sector. Eli's eyes widened. Older than the Triune Council, sir? Magnus nodded. Much older. Look at this. He gestured to the holographic display, which zoomed in on a region of space, several light-years from the station. Eli saw massive wrecks of ships, ancient, long abandoned, but strangely intact, drifting near a dark, asteroid-filled system. Energy signatures flickered around them, almost like they were still alive. These, Magnus said, are automated war machines, autonomous constructs from civilizations long gone. They were designed to eliminate any species that grew too powerful too fast. And someone, or something, has activated them again. Eli felt a chill. War machines from extinct empires? He had read about ancient constructs in history databases, but he had never thought they were real, let alone active near a station he was standing on. Lieutenant Kale stepped forward. Scans show they are heading towards systems where intelligent life has recently expanded, our systems included. Their programming is ruthless. They will not stop. Eli swallowed hard. So, if they reach the council or our stations, it could mean extinction, Magnus finished. Entire species wiped out. And if they're moving toward the sector, humans may be next. The room fell silent. Eli's mind raced. Humans were considered clever and adaptable. But against a force designed purely for destruction? How could they possibly survive? Magnus turned toward him. That's where you come in, Eli. Your quick thinking saved the hover car. And now, we need that same human ingenuity on a larger scale. I want you to analyze these patterns and find a way to slow them down or at least predict their path. Eli nodded. I'll do my best, sir. He dove into the data, tracing energy pulses from the ancient machines. They moved with terrifying precision. Calculated paths that avoided natural hazards like asteroid belts and gravitational fields. Their attacks were systematic, designed to target hubs of civilization. Hours passed as Eli worked tirelessly, cross-referencing old records, star charts, and alien engineering logs. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The war machines seemed to activate whenever a civilization reached a certain level of technological growth. Space travel, combined with energy-based weapons. Humanity's recent advances had triggered their sensors. Eli realized the scale of the threat. These machines were not just obstacles. They were judgment. They had no loyalty, no compassion, no negotiation. They were programmed to eliminate, and nothing could reason with them. Eli, Magnus said after a long silence, what are you thinking? Eli hesitated. Then, carefully, he explained his theory. We can't fight them head-on. Not yet. But if we can predict where they'll strike next, we can evacuate key systems and create traps. We can use our knowledge of human ingenuity and alien technology together. Lieutenant Kale tilted his head. A tactical approach? Yes, Eli said. Humans are good at improvising. We adapt. The machines may be strong, but they're predictable. If we can force them into environments they don't expect, we have a chance. Magnus smiled faintly. That's exactly why I brought you in. You see possibilities others overlook. This is why humans are valuable. We don't just rely on protocols. We think outside them. Eli felt a surge of pride but also weight. This was no longer a docking bay or a stolen hover car. Millions of lives were at stake. The pressure was immense, but it ignited something in him. Humans thrived under pressure. They adapted, they survived. The next step was reconnaissance. Magnus assigned Eli to join a small fleet of ships equipped with cloaking and scanning technology. They would approach the outer edge of the war machine's swarm, gather data, and report back with precise coordinates. It was dangerous. But Eli felt a strange thrill. He had been thrown into situations where failure was not an option. And somehow, he always found a solution. As the fleet prepared to jump into hyperspace, Eli looked out at the station windows. Stars streaked past as ships lined up in formation. He felt the galaxy's vastness pressing against him, the potential for discovery, danger, and triumph. And he realized that being human, with all its unpredictability and ingenuity, gave him a unique advantage in a galaxy full of cold, calculating forces. The fleet jumped, and Eli's heart raced. Sensors pinged with energy readings as they approached the war machine fleet. The machines were enormous, towering constructs of metal and alien alloys, each carrying weapons that could destroy entire planets. They moved with a mechanical grace that was terrifying to behold. Eli studied their formations. Each unit followed precise coordinates, scanning for life and technological signatures. He noted their movements, cross-referenced with his earlier predictions, and whispered to himself, "Just like I thought. They're avoiding natural hazards, but they're blind to improvisation." Magnus's voice came over the comms. "Eli, what do you see?" He took a deep breath. "Sir." If we lure them toward the asteroid field in the Orpheus belt, we can slow their advance. Their sensors will treat it as empty space, but the hazards can disrupt their formations. It will give us time to evacuate populated systems. The fleet commander nodded. It's risky, but we have no choice. Eli coordinated with the pilots, plotting a course that would use the asteroid field as a natural trap. As they approached, the war machines detected the fleet and changed course toward them, following a predictable trajectory. Eli's prediction had been correct. The machines were clever, but they couldn't improvise. The fleet led them toward the dense asteroids. Rocks and debris shifted, forcing the machines to navigate hazards they hadn't calculated. Some units collided, their massive limbs crashing against jagged edges. Sensors glitched, weapons misfired, and their once perfect formations faltered. Eli felt a mix of relief and exhilaration. This was human ingenuity in action. By thinking creatively, he had turned the machine's strength into weakness. The fleet continued to guide them carefully, avoiding unnecessary losses while creating chaos among the machines. After hours of tense maneuvering, the war machines had been slowed significantly. They were still a threat, but the evacuation of key systems was now possible. Humanity and other civilizations in the sector had been given a fighting chance. Magnus appeared on the comms again. Eli, you've done something remarkable. You took a situation where failure meant extinction and found a way to survive. This is why humans are valuable. This is why we belong in the galaxy. Eli exhaled, exhausted but proud. He had come so far from parking a hovercar to outsmarting war machines older than empires. He realized something fundamental. Humans thrived when challenges seemed impossible. Their strength wasn't in raw power, but in creativity, adaptability, and courage. As the fleet set a course back to the station, Eli stared out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of danger, but it was also full of opportunity. Humans were small, but they were clever, resilient, and resourceful, and that he knew was more powerful than any weapon. For the first time, Eli truly felt what it meant to be human in a galaxy of machines, aliens, and ancient threats. It wasn't about luck, it wasn't about strength, it was about ingenuity, courage, and the refusal to give up. And Eli knew, without a doubt, that this was only the beginning. Eli Sanders had barely returned to the Zephyr star line after the reconnaissance mission. Yet, there was no time to rest. The fleet's reports were clear. The ancient war machines had recovered from the asteroid trap faster than anyone anticipated. They were heading straight for a densely populated human colony in the Tau Ceti system. The situation was dire. Millions of civilians were at risk, and the station's command team was frantically coordinating evacuation and defense plans. Eli, still exhausted from hours of strategy and navigation, found himself standing in the command center again, facing Magnus Drake and the assembled officers. Eli, Magnus said, eyes locked on him. This is no longer just analysis. This is action. We need to defend the colony, and I want your ideas. Eli's mind raced. The fleet had weapons, yes, but the war machines were nearly indestructible. Conventional firepower would slow them, not stop them. He needed a plan that relied on human ingenuity rather than sheer strength. He stepped forward, speaking quickly but clearly. We can't attack them directly. Their armor and firepower are too strong. But humans can be unpredictable. We can use decoys, manipulate their sensors, and force them into areas where our weapons will be most effective. Lieutenant Kale raised a reflective brow. Decoys? Explain. Eli gestured toward the star map. We can send automated ships, small, fast, and expendable, toward them first. The machines will target those ships, thinking they're the main fleet. Meanwhile, we position our real forces to strike from angles they don't expect. We create confusion, and that confusion is our advantage. Magnus nodded slowly. Clever. That's very human. Eli felt a brief surge of pride. It was moments like this that proved humanity's value in a galaxy of precision and protocol. While other species relied on rigid calculations, Humans adapted, improvised, and used creativity as a weapon. Preparations began immediately. Automated decoys were loaded with holographic projectors to mimic larger ships. Human pilots trained to navigate quickly through asteroid belts and magnetic storms volunteered for risky maneuvers. Every system capable of scanning, jamming, or misdirecting the war machines was put online. Eli coordinated with both human and alien engineers, combining technology in ways few had imagined. Alien shields were paired with human propulsion systems. Weapon targeting systems were modified to exploit the war machine's predictable movement patterns. As the fleet jumped into the Tau Ceti system, Eli felt a mix of fear and excitement. The stakes were higher than anything he had ever faced. Entire worlds were counting on human strategy to survive. The first wave of war machines appeared on sensors like ghostly giants. Their metallic forms glinted against the starfield, and energy weapons powered up with a low, humming growl. Eli's pulse quickened, but he kept his focus. "Deploy decoys," he ordered. Small ships shot forward, their holographic signatures magnifying their size and threat. The war machines immediately detected them, changing course to engage. The first wave of destruction erupted. Lasers firing across space, asteroids shattering from stray shots. Eli guided the real fleet through a hidden path, weaving between asteroid clusters and debris fields. The machines were fast, but their programming made them predictable. Every move Eli predicted matched the war machine's response. The fleet advanced strategically, exploiting every weakness. Despite the chaos, Eli noticed the aliens observing from the command center were visibly impressed. Many species in the galaxy underestimated humans. But now they saw humans in action, not relying on strength or brute force, but on adaptability and quick thinking. Hours passed. The battle raged across the system. The war machines adapted partially, but each attempt to anticipate human moves failed. The decoys continued to confuse them, forcing errors in their formation. Human pilots executed daring maneuvers, dodging attacks and luring machines into traps designed by Eli and Magnus. At one point, a massive war machine unit broke through the outer perimeter, heading straight for the colony's orbital station. Eli's heart raced. "Divert the interceptors! Use the asteroid field as cover!" Lead it into the magnetic storm. Pilots executed the maneuver flawlessly, guiding the machine into a volatile field of charged asteroids. Energy beams misfired, and the unit's systems overloaded. A massive explosion shook the nearby space, sending debris flying. Eli clenched his fists in relief. "Good work," Magnus said, voice calm but full of pride. "You're proving exactly why humans stand out. Ingenuity, courage, adaptability. That is our strength." Eli allowed himself a small smile, but there was no time to celebrate. The war machines were relentless. New units emerged from hyperspace, heading straight for populated areas. He quickly recalculated the fleet's movements, using every tool available: magnetic disruptors, energy nets, holographic decoys, to slow the machine's advance. In a particularly daring move, Eli suggested a combined operation with alien allies. "We can synchronize our weapons and shields. Humans will guide the machines into kill zones, and the aliens' tech will finish them off." The aliens hesitated. "Are you certain?" one of them asked. Eli nodded. "We have no choice. If we hesitate, millions die. But together, we can win." The operation began. Fleets from multiple species executed Eli's plan, with humans leading the way. The machines, powerful as they were, fell into carefully crafted traps, holographic decoys, asteroid fields, and unpredictable human maneuvers created openings for devastating attacks. Slowly, the tide began to turn. Eli's heart pounded as he watched the results on his datapad. Each war machine destroyed, each trap executed successfully, was a testament to human problem-solving. While other species relied on brute force, humans had exploited creativity, intuition, and the ability to adapt under pressure. Finally, the last wave of war machines was neutralized, their massive forms drifting inert in the void. The Tau Ceti colony was safe. Thousands of civilians cheered as the fleet returned, and the aliens observing the operation acknowledged humanity's capabilities with newfound respect. Magnus appeared on the comms, voice calm but full of pride. "Eli Sanders, you have done the impossible. Not only have you saved a colony, but you have demonstrated why humans are indispensable. Other species may have the strength or technology, but humans think differently. We adapt. We survive. We triumph." Eli felt a deep sense of accomplishment. From parking a single hover car to orchestrating the defense of a populated system, he had grown faster than he ever imagined. Humans were underestimated often in the galaxy, but time and again, they proved that creativity and courage could overcome even the greatest threats. As the fleet regrouped, Eli looked out at the stars from the bridge of the Zephyr Starline. He realized something profound. Humanity's value wasn't just in numbers or weapons. It was in the mind, the spirit, and the relentless drive to overcome challenges no matter how impossible they seemed. In that moment, he understood what it truly meant to be human in a galaxy full of powerful, calculating beings. Strength alone did not define survival. Adaptability, ingenuity, and courage did, and humans had all three, in abundance. Magnus turned to Eli, a rare smile crossing his face. "You've exceeded my expectations, Eli. Remember this, no matter the galaxy, no matter the threat, humans will always find a way. You've proven that today." Eli nodded, exhausted but proud. "Thank you, sir. I just did what humans do best." Exactly," Magnus said, voice firm and proud. "Exactly." And as Eli looked out at the galaxy, he knew this was only the beginning. Humans had stood tall today, but the universe was vast, and new challenges would come. Yet no matter what, humanity would rise to meet them, clever, bold, and unstoppable. For the first time, Eli truly understood the essence of HFY humanity. Fuck yeah. The Zephyr Starline floated silently above the Tau Ceti system, its hull gleaming in the light of distant suns. Eli Sanders, still exhausted from coordinating the fleet, watched the aftermath of the battle on his datapad. The war machines had been neutralized, the colony was safe, and humans had proven their value not just to themselves, but to every species observing the system. Yet, there was no time to rest. Magnus Drake, the CEO, entered the command bridge, his expression both serious and proud. "Eli," he said, voice calm, "you've done more than survive. You've shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. But this was only a warning. The threat is not gone, it has simply been delayed." Eli nodded, determination replacing exhaustion. "I understand, sir. But if we continue to work together, humans can handle whatever comes next." Magnus allowed a small smile. "I believe that. And that's why I'm assigning you a new task. You will lead a human-alien task force to secure other systems. You will be the bridge between species, showing them that humans are not just reckless, but capable, resourceful, and indispensable." Eli's pulse quickened. From being an intern, barely trusted to park a hovercar, he was now being entrusted with the fate of multiple star systems. It was overwhelming and exhilarating. The next days were filled with preparation. Eli worked tirelessly alongside alien engineers, strategists, and pilots to create a new approach to galactic security. They combined human ingenuity with alien technology, building fleets that could adapt to any situation. Humans contributed unconventional thinking and improvisation, while aliens contributed precision and advanced weaponry. Together, they became an unstoppable force. Eli found himself amazed at how quickly the teams adapted. Humans suggested unpredictable maneuvers. Alien technology allowed them to execute those maneuvers with precision. And for the first time, species who had once doubted humanity saw them as equals. One evening, Eli stood on the observation deck of the Starline, staring out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown threats, but it was also full of opportunities. He remembered his first week, the docking bay incident, the rogue drones, the reconnaissance missions. Each challenge had taught him something. Each mistake had become a lesson. Humanity was small, yes, but humans were clever, resilient, and resourceful. That was their true power. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. His datapad displayed a communication request from the Triune Council, the alien organization overseeing galactic trade and security. Eli Sanders, the council's representative, said, voice formal and measured. We have observed your actions during the Tau Ceti crisis. Humans have exceeded expectations. Your ability to coordinate, adapt, and inspire multiple species is remarkable. We invite you to advise the Council on interstellar defense. Eli blinked in surprise. Me? Yes, the representative replied. Your species may be new to galactic politics, but your contributions cannot be ignored. You have earned the respect of not only your peers but also allied species. You will serve as a human liaison and strategist. Eli's mind raced. He had started as an intern, fumbling to park a hovercar, and now he was being recognized by the highest authorities in the galaxy. I accept, he said, voice steady despite the excitement. The recognition from the council was more than personal, it was symbolic. Humans had long been underestimated, dismissed as chaotic and reckless. But now, through ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, they had proven they belonged. Back on the command bridge, Magnus placed a hand on Eli's shoulder. You've done humanity proud, not just because of skill, but because of heart. You cared, you thought, and you acted when it mattered most. That is why humans are valuable. Eli. Never forget it. Eli smiled. I won't. Sir. I've learned that humans don't just survive. We find ways to thrive, even against the impossible. Just then, alarms sounded across the star line. New energy readings appeared on the sensors' war machines. Far off, moving cautiously through the outer rim of the galaxy. They were fewer in number, but they were heading toward inhabited systems. Eli's heart raced. The threat had not ended, but now, humans were ready. They were no longer reactive, they were proactive. Eli issued orders calmly, coordinating fleets, deploying decoys, and analyzing enemy patterns. The machines were intelligent, but humans were more adaptable. The battle that followed was intense. The human-alien task force executed complex maneuvers that left the war machines off balance. Holographic projections, asteroid traps, and unexpected fleet patterns disrupted their calculations. Each success reinforced a simple truth. Humans could do what others could not. They could think outside rigid patterns and act creatively in the moment. Across the galaxy, news of the human strategy spread. Alien civilizations, once skeptical, now sought alliances. Humans were no longer merely participants, they were leaders, innovators, and trusted strategists. During a pause in the battle, Eli took a moment to reflect. From parking a hovercar to defending star systems, he had learned the value of ingenuity, courage, and persistence. Humans were underestimated often, but when the chips were down, they rose to the occasion. That was humanity's greatest weapon. Magnus appeared at his side again, voice quiet but full of meaning. You've seen what humans can do, Eli. This is only the beginning. Remember, it's not just about fighting wars. It's about proving that humans belong, not just survive. That is how the galaxy will remember us. Eli nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the thrill of possibility. He was no longer just an intern. He was a human representative, a strategist, a symbol of his species' strength. The task force completed the mission successfully. The war machines were neutralized or redirected, and the galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief. Civilizations that had once doubted humanity now celebrated them. Humans had not only survived, they had changed the perception of their species forever. Eli watched from the bridge as fleets returned, systems stabilized, and communications flowed freely between civilizations. It was a moment of triumph, not just for him, but for humanity as a whole. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when they combined ingenuity, courage, and determination. As the starline moved through the stars, Eli allowed himself a quiet smile. Humans had stood tall, faced impossible odds, and shown the galaxy that even the smallest species could make the greatest difference. From parking a single hovercar to commanding fleets in interstellar battle, humanity had proven itself in the most spectacular way. Magnus's voice came over the comms one last time for the day. Eli, you've done what few could even imagine. You've shown that humans are not to be underestimated. Never forget this. Humans belong among the stars, and the galaxy will remember that. Now, rest. Tomorrow, we begin the next phase, building a future where humans and our allies thrive together. Eli leaned back in his chair, exhausted but fulfilled. He looked out at the infinite stars and felt a deep sense of pride. Humans were clever, adaptable, and relentless. They were not just survivors, they were innovators, leaders, and a force to be reckoned with. And in that moment, Eli understood the essence of humanity. No matter the odds, no matter the danger, humans would always rise. They would adapt, think creatively, and prove their worth. They would stand tall, even in the face of machines older than empires. For Eli Sanders, and for all of humanity, the galaxy had opened its doors. And from now on, every star, every system, every civilization would remember one simple truth: humans were not just another species, they were extraordinary.